I just wanted to welcome all of you to another daily dose. A dose of positivity. It's been quite some time, almost 6 weeks since I did the last show, and we'll put the link up to Robin Richardson's the last show because it was fantastic. And I hope you guys are just rocking 2024 so far. And my special guest today, JaRee Bowers, is awesome. And we are going to be talking about how to just rock this world moving forward, both financially and also just spiritually and emotionally, how we can balance that with our financial well-being. But first, I want to welcome all the new people here to A Dose of Positivity. And if you're listening to the replay, welcome, welcome. We welcome all your comments and your feedback in the feed, and we get back to every one of them. So just be patient with us. But before we dive into financial success with my special guest, JaRee Bowers, I just wanted to remind you of a few housekeeping gems. We are live, and if you have a question or you have something insightful to add to the conversation, we welcome you to just raise your hand in the Zoom feed there, and we will bring you live up on stage. And if you're shy, no worries, just put your comments right there in the chat, and we will get to all of them. So we've had some of our best conversations happen when people are bold and brave enough to get out of their comfort zone and share an experience or add to a conversation just by giving a question, a potent question that will impact the conversation. So please don't be shy. I wanted to also say that I just got back from India. I was there for 3.5 weeks doing an Ayurvedic detox and overhaul of my health. Some of you know that I was not doing well there, actually since April of 2023. And I'm definitely can say that I'm on the rebound. Anybody who wants to learn more about that, my journey to India, please make sure, and we'll put the link in the feed here. Read the blog, the most recent blog, and also don't hesitate to contact me direct. You can just send me an email, put the email in there for you, and just write India in the subject matter, and I'll check my spam as well. And be persistent. So if you're looking for a healing quest, you're interested in Ayurvedic medicine, the way of this 5,000-year-old modality that really can turn your world around, and affordably so. And that brings me back to finances and affordable things and looking at life, whether it's doing it to you or for you, how we can navigate all of these challenges moving forward and turn those challenges upside down into exceptional opportunities. Because remember, we having this mindset of positivity makes all the difference in the world. And that's why I show up here each and every week, unless I'm off to India. And that's why I have the great privilege of and the honor to interview people like JaRee Bowers, who is going to share with you some very seasoned recommendations on how to improve your well-being and your financial health in the same breath. Okay. And I'd like to read something from my book to get us all set up for this conversation. As most of you know who've been on here have read this book, Living Like the Future Matters, The Evolution of a Soul-to-Soul Entrepreneur. And JaRee, I have a lot in common around this mindset. So this happened in my book, in the chapter or the cycle called Blooming. So it goes like this. When I started to make more money than I ever imagined, I realized it had the power to both empower and create, or disempower and destroy. A make money mindset was most effective when I was grateful and I shared the wealth. Making more money meant business was good. I provided a service that people appreciated, and I created opportunities for people to work in an environment that fostered good intentions. It felt good to donate money to causes that I believed in and to lend money to others. To build true wealth meant to put my money into helping others and the earth. All these reasons made money meaningful. My power lay in not letting money rob my soul and instead cultivating good intentions. No matter how much money I made, I continue and still do to this day to shop at thrift stores. I still buy used cars, furniture, and just about anything else. It's not because I'm cheap, it's out of principle. Why rob the finite resources of our beautiful Mother Earth when the landfills are overflowing with perfectly good things? Money matters. It puts food on our table, clothes on our backs, and roofs over our heads. Without it, our most basic needs are threatened. I am reminded that paper money is made from cotton and linen, coins from metal and minerals, food from the soil and the sea, clothes from plants and animals, and homes from various materials of the earth. It matters how we spend it. Thank you all for listening to that. And anybody who wants a free download of Living Like the Future Matters, put your email in there. And today is a good day to offer this beautiful book to you all. So, JaRee Bowers, without further ado, I am going to introduce this incredible serial entrepreneur. She has owned many very successful businesses, ranging from daycares to network marketing, painting and construction, cookware businesses, to a Dairy Queen franchise. She is like a rock star. In every one of her prior businesses, JaRee found that her clients had a lack of knowledge when it came to money and making it, saving it, and investing it. When she asked about their investments, most reacted with fear and anxiety around the topic of money. I'm sure some of you feel the same. JaRee discovered that money was top of the mind for everyone that she met. Whether you have $100 or millions, you will walk away from this session with JaRee's knowing you have chose the correct investments and trusted advisor for your financial legacy. She has educated through wine, women, and wealth events. She also has a Money 101 class and Money Mommy and Me events. She also provides individual consulting, either virtually or in person, and we will put all of her links into the chat. So if you want to talk with her about any of those things, some of them are free services. So this is in the sales show, but it is really an opportunity for you to get under control of that 5-letter word, MONEY, and use it to your advantage. And thank you so much, JaRee, for being here. We welcome you to A Dose of Positivity, honey.
Thank you for having me. I am so grateful to be part of such a great group. I really believe in what you're doing and how you bless people and help people with their life's journey. I'm just super excited to be part of this, Donna, and grateful to all of you. Yes.
Well, we are super excited to have you, and thank you so much for that. So what I wanted to do, because you have such a range of history of your careers, and like me, we're serial entrepreneurs, I just want to ask you a question before we dive deep into the financial ends of it. Like, when, like, was the first time you realized, were you 6 years old, 16, or 60? You're not even 66 yet, but you know what I mean. When did you realize, when did this epiphany come to you that you needed to take charge of your finances?
Actually, it came to me as a very young woman, and that would be right when I was branching out on my own as an independent person from my family. And the reason was because my parents taught me that if I wanted to own my life, own my time, then I needed to own my own business. Otherwise, I can go to work and be told what to do and when I can leave and take vacation and breaks and all of that. And that really resonated with me. And I decided at that very moment that I was going to go ahead and make the most of it. They, of course, did not tell me what to own, what to do, or any of that. I had figured out on my own. And the interesting part is I have a family of my two older brothers and myself. So it's just me as the only girl and the youngest. And they just said, go for it. Do what you want to do. Figure it out, girl. But you better own your own life. And that meant I need to be in control of the things that I want to do, and really put the future forward for myself. So I guess you could say it was when I was young. And when I was a child, I worked for my parents in their businesses. So I'm not sure exactly how to date that, but to take charge for myself, it was when I was about 20 years old.
That's really, really special and awesome. And it's so interesting because, myself, my parents were, my dad was I call him a dentalpreneur. He was a dentist, but he was an entrepreneur. And I write about him in my book too. And, anybody who's in business for themselves, whether you're a professional practitioner too, you're a preneur, if you're running your own practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw my mom and my dad work together, and you're blessed. We're blessed. Not everybody on this who is listening has had that opportunity, right, to have those role models. So what do you recommend for people who don't have role models like that, who are stuck maybe in the corporate world and, trying to keep up the Joneses?
Well, first of all, I don't recommend that you try to keep up with the Jones. I think that it's vitally important to really gear back and find your spot of good health with your money and with your life. And it's not about what everyone else has. It's about what you have been given and the opportunities that are in front of you that you've been given. So really, I like to tell everyone when it comes to the keeping up with everyone else, it's just take a step back outside the picture frame. When your life is in the picture frame, you can't see everything that's around you. So if you take a moment and just step back and say, okay, what have I accomplished? What do I want to accomplish? What kind of impact can I make on others' lives? And how important is that? Then that's really where you start. And then, of course, if you're in that corporate situation and you're saying, I really need to get out of this, this is not what I want to do, then I would say go to your quiet place at home and sit there and write down in your journal. I've had a journal my entire life. I believe in that. I really think that it's important to write down the good things and the bad. So take out your journal and write out all the good things about your job and write out all the bad things about your job and weigh the differences. And then say, am I living in my purpose? Am I doing every day something that brings me joy? And if the answer is no, then I would say you need to look that up. Check right here with your heart. Literally sit and take the time to say, maybe go back into that childhood moment of when your teacher said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? Mm-hmm. And really think about what that is. And just really get in that peace place and say, all right, am I somebody that can make a difference with what I'm doing, or am I stuck? And is it awful to be here? And then answer those questions for yourself. And, a lot of times, Donna, I talk to a lot of people that, especially women, that will say, I really don't know what I want to do. I really don't know who I am. I'm kind of lost. My identity is tied up in everything else. And I will say, you know what? I can relate to that. That's exactly what a whole lot of ladies do. And I was one of them. We live our lives just consumed by what the kids want to do and what the husband wants to do and the job that we have. And, you know, our parents, maybe those little words in your mind that are saying, you know, we're not the Rockefellers, or we didn't grow, money doesn't grow on trees, or you're going to have to go to school and get good grades and go be a good employee for everyone else because, you know, all the things. I just invite you and challenge you to check that. Like you pointed to your head a second ago, it's all about your thoughts. Check those thoughts and say, now, why do I believe what I believe? Do I really believe that? Check it, you know, and that's, I think, is the best place to start because, you know, you can go Google if you want to. You can Google something fun to do, or you can really get serious with who you are and what was intended for your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. That was so well said. It was like a paragraph in my book, actually. That was perfect. You and I knew we're such kindred spirits. It's really great.
Yeah.
Really super great. You know, one of the things too, that, I always say, know who you are, what you love to do, and have a purposeful why,
Mhm.
not somebody else's why. And what is that purpose? Why are we here? What is our purpose as, and especially as women? I mean, of course, being a fabulous parent is the top most important uh, thing we can all do as women. And if we're with um, some of the other sex that doesn't acknowledge that, it's time to exit. Sorry, I'm pretty blunt about that. In motherhood is that's the greatest career I ever had. Out of my 12 businesses was being a mom, and now being a grandma. One of the things too, that I want to talk about, I want you to notice, you guys, I'm wearing green today, every shade of green. And JaRee was just talking about these things, like how do you know who you are, and they say, like, dress for success, right? I think you even just said that, but there is a mindset around that. I mean, let's talk about the little incremental things that each and every one can do to get out of this money trap or this fear trap of being all they can be. And for me, one of them is, and everybody who's watched the show for a long time notice, like, I dress for whatever it is while I'm interviewing. I mean, I do my best. So today it's all about that green, right? Which happens to be my favorite color anyway. But let's talk about some we talk about decoding, right? How can we decode those things? Give us some tools that we can look at. And then we're going to dive you guys deep into some of the financial tools that we can do to set up yourself for security. And this is where I urge you all, if you have any questions about, whether you do a living trust, or what kind of insurances do you need, and especially being a woman, do you have your own bank account? These are things that we are going to touch upon. But in order to get to those places, what JaRee and I are talking about right now is like A1 important, because it doesn't matter if you have all those things set up in place if you don't have confidence.
That's right. I believe that. Yes.
Confidence, one of my things is I wear green. So can you give us some other strategies that we can, doable, actionable things we can do to get into that mindset that says that whether you have $100 or, you, like you said in the intro, or $100 million, like, what is that? So you could take that 100 and turn it into 1,000 in a year. And you can take that 1,000 and turn it into 10,000 in 2 years, and so forth and so forth. But we have to have that mindset. So that's why I read that money mindset piece. But go ahead and give us some of those actionable confidence building steps as women that we can take.
Okay.
Sorry.
So first of all, thank you, Donna. So first of all, it is all about the condition of your mind, like you said. And when you have old beliefs that have been given to you generationally, So the way you were raised, the statements that are made that were just kind of sewn into your mind the whole time you were growing up as a child, you need to take a moment and say, again, why do I believe that way? Is this a belief of money doesn't grow on trees because of the way I was taught? Or is this a belief that I really have because I speak it out all the time?
Mhm.
So we got to take first things first and say, okay, if I was taught that money doesn't grow on trees, why? Well, maybe because there was a lot of money being spent in my childhood on things that were unnecessary. And therefore, it promoted a statement like that. But what happens, unfortunately, Donna, is that people adhere that. They let it sink in and then they apply it to their life. And so you'll be in a moment where you're thinking, okay, this is expensive and maybe I shouldn't purchase that. And automatically your mind's like, money doesn't grow on trees. You need to get out of this situation, right? But
Mhm.
instead, what you're supposed to do and what I do often is just simply say, why do I believe that? And how can I change it? So, one of the tactics that I use personally is when something like that comes up, a statement like that, or a core belief that gives me a little bit of anxiety when it comes to money, and maybe I'm spending too much, or maybe I'm not giving enough, or all the what if I'm not. I immediately snap my finger and
Mhm.
say, JaRee, you need to take notice. Why do you think that? And then I have to realize, well, okay, probably because that was what I was told when I was a kid. Does it apply to now? Only if I believe it to. So, one of the biggest things to do is change your thought. Money is not evil. Money is to be used for the future. And if you set it up the correct way, then you're not going to have that mentality of loving money and it's I gotta get. It's more of a this is coming to me because I need it for the roof over my head and for all the things. And so I'm just going to apply myself to my career, to my business, to my life, and I'm going to expect that money is going to come to me because of the good service that I'm doing for others. So if you can change that negative into, my tactic, snap your fingers and just say, stop and think, and then change your words. Money is a tool. Money flows to me because I do a good service for others. That totally changes that broken mindset of, oh my goodness, scared, fear, stick your head in the sand. So that's one of the tactics. The other one is to literally set and visualize what your life will look like when you have more than enough to pay for all of the necessities, and then you have more than enough to travel and go do the things that you really enjoy or that you would like to experience in life. Visualizing that, and maybe even going so far as to putting, a lot of people will teach you to put a visual board, a vision board on your wall. I believe that's a strong tactic as well, simply because you can see the things that are a goal for you. And I'm not trying to tell you to gear toward things because I don't believe in that. I don't think you should store up things, right? I think you should definitely take care of your life and eating good and all of that. But I'm saying, what is money going to do for you? How much are you going to give of that money? How much are you going to bless somebody else with and not be stingy with it? Does it own you because you're working for it just to get? Or do you own it and do you tell it what to do? So that's one of the strong tactics that I think about often if I get into a, wow, I shouldn't spend that much, or, and I'm not saying spend frivolously at all. I think you should have a budget. And just like you said, thrift stores are your best friend, and they are, no matter how much money you make, because somebody else gave away something that maybe didn't mean much to them that you can apply to your life or maybe someone else's life, and therefore you're keeping a lot more of the money that you have earned and have been given to share with others.
Such a beautiful cycle of love and light. And money is just one of the tools that keeps that circulating. I really loved everything you're saying right now, and I think people can really resonate. And believe it or not, we're already halfway through the show. So, what I would love to have you talk about, and if anybody has any questions or comments, please, now's a good time to put them in so we can get to them all. But one of the things that you do is I know you work with clients once they have some money, like to save that money. You were talking about the security and saving that money, and there's a few things that you it's on your website, and I'm sure by now TJ or Shane put your website in the chat. But one of the things that I'm really interested in about is this life insurance that you can draw off of, like something catastrophic happens, right? And
Yes.
then because I think a lot of people don't know about that. Like I don't have a life insurance policy, for instance. And so because, what, I don't know, maybe I'm not educated about it. Also, I wanted you to also give some strategies for different, portfolios of saving, right? So how can people really, now that they got the good mindset, they're generating income, whether it's from their art or from being a practitioner or even working a corporate job that they can't stand, so they're trying to keep up with their drinking buddies and they haven't saved enough money. There's Let's get on this green cycle, right? This healthy green cycle. So if you could talk about some of the things, like what are the sequential steps someone's now making, what percentage of their income do you recommend putting in where and here and why? So
Okay.
they can financial security.
Okay, so I believe in paying yourself first. And so how that works in the way I educate people is simply give what you're going to give every month. Generally, that's anywhere from 10 to 15% of your income, depending on what you're making, and then pay yourself first. And the reason why that's so important, and a general rule, it's around 10%. Sometimes it's a little more, depending again on how much money you have. But paying yourself first is vital simply because a lot of us will get in a cycle of paying ourselves last. And what happens is we don't do it. Bottom line, we don't do it. And so if you're paying yourself first, then that's already taken care of. You've got it set on automatic and it's already taken care of. And then what happens is you will learn how to handle all of your bills and all of the extras that need to be taken care of for the rest of the month with the rest of it. And if you need to make more, you will apply yourself more to make more. But you will know that you are paying yourself first. And that's part of why My Freedom First is my company name as well, because I really believe that in taking care of your financial future, you are taking care of your children and your grandchildren and the future generations. Now, why would I say that? Well, because if you are not responsible for yourself, who do you think is going to step up to be responsible for you when you need it most?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to end up being a child or a friend or another family member. And I don't think it's very responsible on our own part to lean on someone else to stop their life to handle what's going on with us, right? And generally, when health issues take place, there's a leaning on other people. And obviously, we love to give. And I'm not saying don't help somebody, but when it comes down to it, if you take care of money the way it should be, then you're not going to need them to stop their life, literally, to step in and take care of you. And that's what living benefits is all about. So, living benefits is term life insurance that you don't have to die to use. And being a financial specialist and financial planner, most of the time, we're not going to talk about insurance, but I'll tell you, I am very excited about insurance, this type of insurance, okay? Living benefits. And this is why. Because living benefits literally kicks in and takes over when you need it the most. So let's just say that there was a diagnosis of some kind, or a critical injury, or a diabetes, a heart attack, a stroke, something like that. And the list is quite big, okay? Blindness and all kinds of things that can happen. But let's say it's a terminal thing, and you have $1 million policy, life insurance. It's term insurance that's going to go away, right? That's the old traditional. This one is not traditional, okay? So, but let's say you have that $1 million policy and you just got diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. Well, now you can access up to 90% of that $1 million policy to live your life. Would that pay for your house, your mortgage, your bills, all the things? It should. And it should definitely give you enough money for alternative care, maybe to go to India in your case, or China, as you spoke about your friend. There's a lot of things that we can do to survive the situation that we might be facing. But when it comes to doing it with money, it's a lot simpler than it is to try to lean on someone else to help us through that situation. So living benefits literally comes in and closes the gap. And usually what happens when you get in the situation, you can't work for a while. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 3 months, whatever that looks like. If you're giving that diagnosis and you know that you're not going to get foreclosure notices, you're not going to get kicked out because you can't pay the rent, you can eat still, and your family's going to be taken care of because there's plenty of money in the bank, you're going to be able to take a big, deep breath and say, okay, I can get through this. Wow, and it's going to give you options that you didn't know you had.
So let me ask you this. This sounds like almost too good to be true, right? Like sign me up. So I do want to, and if anybody else has any questions, feel free to ask them. But what does it take to get into something like that? Say someone's just making $40,000-$50,000 a year and they're just making ends meet. Like what does it take for someone to get into that, or a senior who really doesn't have too much income coming in? And can you start this at any age? These benefits.
Well, you can start from 0 to 85. So, and how much does it cost? That depends on the quote that we can do for you. So it really has everything to do with your past history of health or wellness. It has a lot to do with your budget in mind. If you say, okay, my budget says that I can do something like this for maybe 10 years instead of versus 15, 20, or 30, depending. So, and it also has to do with the health history, as far as, are you on medications? Have you been, diagnosed with something already? those types of things. So really that price range is varied for everyone. It really isn't, it's a younger person. If you wanted to say it was a younger person, say 20 years old, it might be $15. Whereas an older person, it might be a couple $100.
So
It's
what do
just
you,
a matter of, go ahead.
I'm sorry, when you said 10 years, so what happens after the 10 years? Like you get it for 10
Okay,
years.
so that's the next question that's so wonderful about what I teach everyone. Okay, so most of the time, the term life insurance is going to go away, right? In 10 years. If you have signed up for a 10-year term, that means that you're paying for 10 years in case something takes place. And at that 10-year mark, it's just going to go, and then you've got to start over, whatever that looks like. But when you're dealing with this specific type of insurance and its living benefits and working through me, the way I set it up is you can then say, in 3 years or 5 years, you can say, I don't want that policy to go by the wayside. And so at that point, we can convert that plan, that policy, into a plan called tax-free retirement. And that's where you can build cash value. And now that insurance that you had is going to be with you permanently. So now you've converted that and you've held on essentially to all the money you've paid. You're not building cash value in living benefits, but what you're doing is you're holding on to all of that you did pay in because you're not letting it go in 10 years. So you can convert this into a cash value plan, a tax-free retirement plan that is going to set you up for your future and hold on to that. Or you can treat it traditionally and let it go and then open another one. Another thing too, Donna, is that you can have multiples. You're not limited to how many you can have. But the fun thing about it is learning what the wealthy, the very wealthy, have known about life insurance for a very long time. And that is, it's not only a term policy. So, meaning I don't have to use it. I didn't have a scenario happen to my health that made me have to use living benefits for alternative care or whatever the case may be. But what you can do is set up your living trust and your will to denote that you are the death benefit of that plan goes to your trust. Therefore, it's creating that legacy. And why? Well, because now you can pay into your grandchildren's plans or your children's plans. There's multiple ways that you can use this money. And so one of the things that the wealthy do, instead of just cashing that out as a term life plan and then, spending it, they apply it to the legacy wealth that they're growing. And in tax-free retirement, that literally means that your money is growing with the performance of the market, but it's never losing a single dollar. So it is not in the market going up and down like everybody's used to with the market. So really, it's built on a life insurance chassis, but the rest of it is all about building your foundation the right way. So living benefits is extremely powerful because you get to use it while you're alive if you need it. And you've got the rest of it to pay for your beneficiaries as well if you don't choose to use it all.
Wow, this is so great. I'm definitely setting up a call with you, but I want to ask a couple questions, and I think other people might be interested in this. So when you like the term ends and you put it in this tax-free retirement, what happens if you pull out the money then? And also number two, it's in this tax-free retirement. What is the interest rate?
Okay. So when you pull the money out, so what it is in the tax-free retirement, this is how it looks, okay? We're accumulating cash. So you're going to make deposits, again, back to that paying yourself first. You're going to make deposits of whatever fits in your budget. And I just want to tell you something right here. You can start with $100 a month if that's all you've got. And then you can increase that. Like you said, you could take $100 and turn that into $1,000. You can literally increase your plan, pay yourself a little bit more, $50 or $100 or $1,000 or whatever that looks like for your budget later as the years go by. So we create a ladder, okay? You can start where your budget says you can start, and then you increase it as you earn more, as you become more successful with your business or working and getting, raises and money bonuses and stuff like that. So then you're accumulating money. Then it is also set up to distribute money. So what we do is we say, okay, so when do you want to, quote, retire? And I don't really like the word retire because I don't think if you're doing something that really gives you purpose and speaks to you as to what you're supposed to be doing, with your life, that you're ever going to retire. But if that date did come and you said, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. Let's just say it's 70 years old or something like that. We set it up to say, okay, you're going to start receiving distributions. In other words, it's like a private pension. It's going to start coming back to you, right? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it's got that little bit of living benefits that's connected to it. So you can you've converted some of it in there, or you've got a tax-free retirement plan and a living benefits plan, whatever that looks like. You've got an avenue where when it comes out to you, it's tax-free.
Yeah.
Why? Because it came from your bank account. And a lot of people will say, well, no, you said, it sounds too good to be true. What is that?
Right.
What it is it's coming from your bank account. So that's money that's already taxed. It's growing with the performance of the market and not as much, okay? So let's say, here's the little piece that you want to remember and ask questions about possibly, right? It's growing with performance of the market, yet you can never lose a single dollar. So what that looks like is when the market goes up, you go up to the cap that you are given. So you have a ceiling over your head, and maybe that's 15%. And then when the market falls, like it did in 2008, some of us experienced that, right? When it falls, you hold. So let's say that your account has $100,000, just for even numbers. It has $100,000 in your account. And the market falls like it did in 2008. That would be 50% or more, a little bit more than that actually. But let's just say for even numbers, 50%. So those people that had their money in the market, their account went down to $50,000. You hold at 100. You can never lose a single cent. Okay. Then when the market goes back up, and let's say it goes up 17%, you're going to get 15%, and the company is going to get their 2%. So they function on a 1 to 2% margin.
Wow.
To ensure that you never lose a single dollar. Really what it is ensuring your money. And that's totally different than having your money in the bank where it doesn't earn hardly anything. It's very much different from having your money in the market, which is subject to up and down. And really what we've been taught is just set it and forget it. Don't worry about it. Making up for loss is not a big deal. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's a big deal, Donna. Mm-hmm. Making up for loss, especially now, is never going to be our best friend because inflation is against us. All that's going on in our economy right now is definitely not proving out to be anything of our favor. Somebody's going to have to pay it.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, I am all about not setting all of your money in the market. Now, I'm not against the market, obviously, but I'm not going to tell you to put all your money in the market. So, really, what I focus on is zero loss strategies and building the foundation of money you cannot afford to lose. So
Mhm.
back to that retirement word, of 70 years old, 65 years old, whatever that looks like for you. That's where you need to think about, how much money do I need from the day I stop doing my job or my business? How much money am I going to need every single month to live the life I want to live? And that number is what I take and back that all the way up into today and give you a good place to start. And we also look at your budget to make sure that it lines out for you.
Oh boy, this is so good. I'm gonna have to have you back on the show because we got 10 minutes and I have
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
10 more questions. This was so informative and so awesome. Let me just do a couple of quick announcements here, and then I'd like to bring you back on to kind of close us out here, because and you guys, we're gonna again put in the link and in Facebook chat. And I see some of you are on Facebook, watching the show, how you can get a hold and get a free consultation right with you. Do you offer that? Yeah,
Yes, I do.
that's so awesome.
Mhm.
How to get a hold of you. But I also wanted to just remind you guys all that I'm back in the hood. My health is good. Some of you know that I have not been doing so well. And I think that I am really getting rid of a lot of my heavy metals. I brought my cholesterol down from this big announcement from 288 to 222, and lost about 10 pounds. The Ayurvedic clinic was really, really spectacular for me. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian 100%, but pretty close, and lots of good things. And we have some incredible speakers coming in for the month of February. We're going to be getting back talking a lot more about health, and financial health is a huge part of it. Next week's guest is Evelina Rose, and she is going to be, and she's an incredible, powerful speaker, and she's going to be talking about becoming enter, I forget, energy sovereign, basically, and skills of an empath. And we've had other speakers in the past talk about being an empath, and the pros and cons of that. And this woman will just blow your mind. She's really incredible, and we'll continue on this financial planning, because one of the things when we started out on this show that was super exciting was we were talking about having that mindset, that money mindset, having that confidence, having that courage. I encourage you all to look up these links that we provided in the chat, and start getting your financial literacy down. Not what your mom and your dad did, or not what your husband's telling you you can't, or your best friend who's maybe, doesn't have the level of confidence, or maybe they have more. Maybe you need to, they always say you want to be smarter, hang around 5 people that are smarter than you. You want to have financial security, hang around people who have financial sovereignty. So I really encourage you all to dive deep into this, have the courage, have the confidence, remember that freedom lies on the other side of fear. We've talked about that numerous times, and I'm going to say it again. Freedom lies on the other side of fear. And we stymie ourselves when we hear something like this, and we go, oh yeah, this is, oh yeah, and then you do nothing about it, and then you sit there at night going, what am I going to do? I'm afraid. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Well, we're giving you a starting point here, and whether it's JaRee Bowers or some other, I encourage you to talk to several people always. But this
Yes.
woman is super obviously knowledgeable and has a lot to offer you. So I encourage you all to set up an appointment with her, and to come hear our talk next week with Evelina. And the last thing I want to do is I just want everybody to just take a moment of silence right now. tell everybody who's been watching my show, A Dose of Positivity. Tel's been working with me at Soil to Soul Solutions for 3 years now, and she is really struggling with her health. And man, over in the Philippines, I don't know if they have this living trust, but boy, someone like that really could benefit from it. But she needs all our love and all our prayers. And I know most of you who are listening to this know who I'm talking about. And I just want to just take 3 seconds right here for all of us. Just do a little prayer for Tel and some deep breaths and send her love and light. Thank you so much for respecting those wishes and for continuing to hold her in your prayers, those of you who know and love her, and to her family as well. And so, wow, JaRee, great show. Someone like Tel and a lot of people, I'm sure each and every one of us out there who are listening to this know somebody who is in a financial distress and who could use some final closing words of wisdom from you. And I know it's a lot to ask you, but to kind of give us a little synopsis, a little dose of positivity to empower us listeners to take charge of our financial and health well-being. So take it away, babe.
Okay. Well, I wanted to tell you a little story that I think is really important. And one of my clients has a son who's 19, and she is a widow. Her husband lost his life in a motorcycle accident about 6 years ago, and devastating, absolutely devastating. I've known her for a while now, and he had life insurance, thankfully, and she has 6 children. 4 of them live at home, and literally on Monday, he had a head-on collision with a lady that was coming into his lane driving 100 miles an hour, according to that report. And she lost her life, and just so devastating. I just can't even imagine what that family is living. And right now, the mom, Tina is her name, she is by the bedside of her 19-year-old son who's in critical condition. And the first thing that she thought of after 3 days had gone by, and she really was thinking of, what am I going to do? How do I take care of my son? How do I take care of my other children that are at home? And again, she's a widow. She works by herself, all the things. And she thought, I needed to call me. So she called me. And because she has living benefits for him, she's going to make it financially just fine. There's not going to be any worries at all. And I just want to really impress upon you that when things happen to you that are unexpected, or to someone that's unexpected, it's a breath of fresh air to know that you don't have to stress about stuff like that. That's not it. Money's not living in our purpose. It's just a tool. It's just something to take care of the needs that we have at that moment. So I really want you to think about what your mindset is when it comes to money, and how to clear your mind of those negative thoughts and replace them with positive. Because when it comes down to it, life is not worth living if you don't have your health and you don't have the money to take care of your health, if you don't have the right mindset, right? That's what we've all been told. It's not worth living if those things are not. Well, I'm telling you, it's worth living. Life is beautiful, and you can live your life on just a little bit. It's just a matter of what is right here when it comes to the things that matter the most. And to change that, you snap your fingers and say, wait a minute, think before you speak. Because what you speak becomes. Your thoughts become speech, and your speech becomes action. So really think about what's coming out of your mouth before it does, because that eventually will impact your life. That's what I think is the most important on.
Ah, so beautiful. And just like what you said, that things don't happen to us, they happen for us.
That's right.
And I just, that kind of sums up our hour here together today. And I just want to thank you and everybody who showed up today for a live dose of positivity so much for coming, taking the time to take care of you and to level up right now. And especially all you ladies on the line here, we're powerful beyond words, and a little extra financial security goes a long, long way. So I'm going to take us off live. I'm going to say to everybody, aloha, and anybody who wants to stay on after, please do so and ask any questions you might have. But in the meantime, I want to wish you all a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day or evening, and big, big love and aloha.